Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Shades of Entrepreneurship. This is your host, Mr. Gabriel Flores. Today, I am here with Libby, and she has an absolute gorgeous collection of hats. I got to tell you, Libby, how are we doing?
Hi, I'm great. I'm great. Happy to be here. Thank you. Yeah, hats are my thing.
I love it. Now, where are you calling in from?
I live in Fort Myers, Florida, so South Florida.
South Florida. Wow. So we're over here in Portland, Oregon. So literally almost the exact opposite side of the United States from that. But before we get on that, Libby, go ahead and introduce yourself. Who is Libby?
Yeah, so man, I'm a lot of things, but just like every entrepreneur, got tons of things going on. But first of all, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I have three children, amazing husband, and I'm a business owner. So I own several businesses across different industries. So I own a um, residential cleaning and professional organizing business. We have three locations. And then I own two softwares. One software is in the recruitment space, and the other software is online quoting and estimates. And then to top that off, as I didn't have enough to do, I just launched a children's book this month with my daughter. That was one of the funnest things I've ever done. Man, it just made my kids were in awe. They were all characters in the book. It was fun. Um, and I'm also writing a business book. The kids' book came from the publisher's like, you know what, you should write a kids' book. Um, and so that's where the kids' book idea came from. But our business book launches September 23rd. So we're super excited for that. Um, and I think that's all. I think that's all about me. Yeah,
That's all. Just a few, a
just a few.
couple of nicks and knacks and a couple of jobs here and there. Now let's take it back. You got a quite the impressive resume, quite a diverse background of different business things. Now let's take it back before all of it. What what made you get into entrepreneurship? Talk kind of a little bit about your first iteration into the world of entrepreneurship.
So oddly enough, I've never been a W-2 employee. Um, I grew up in a family business and the whole family worked in the business. So I grew up working from around 6 or 8 years old. And I just, I saw how hard work looked, what you were supposed to do, but I also saw the return of it and also like how to work with family because I grew up doing that. Um, and so my first taste of it was then going out on my own and kind of, doing a few things with the family, but kind of independently. And then I've owned in the past a bar in Ybor City. So if you ever travel to Tampa or Florida, you know where Ybor City is. Um, and it's weird how I stumbled across certain things for short periods of time and then sold them or moved on. But yeah, I've always been entrepreneurial, 100 ideas a minute, and never really I would be a horrible employee. I'm just gonna say that. I love structure, but I don't follow the rules. Like, so I'm just would be a horrible employee. But yeah, I've always kind of had that gene in me. Grew up with my family's business, and yeah, so it's kind of always been who I am now. Like my brother and sister didn't necessarily come out that way. And that's fine, but yeah, it's something that I've always had.
What was like your first step in? You mentioned you did the bar. Was the bar kind of the first business for yourself, like independently outside of the family business?
Yeah, I would say the bar was. I did some like consulting and some other stuff. So I'll tell you what my family's business was. So we own elephants. So my family in Oklahoma owns the largest herd of Asian elephants in North America. Um, Totally random, right?
Yes.
In Oklahoma. Um, and so I grew up doing that. Like I grew up baling hay and like shoveling poop. And so they didn't just have elephants. We had horses, but mainly elephants was the specialty. And so I grew up doing it, working hard, seeing like just putting that effort into your work. So as I got older, I got contracted by zoos and other places for baby elephants were kind of like my thing, like animal husbandry and breeding programs, because it's very hard. And so I did independent consultant work for a long time. And then, yes, the bar business was probably like my first brick and mortar business where you had to pay rent, and it wasn't just me anymore. I had to have employees. Totally two different worlds. I said, I spent my whole life working with 8,000-pound elephants. And when you try to hire employees, like, it's like, how could you get the elephants to listen, but you can't get people to listen?
Telling you.
Yeah.
That's quite remarkable. The baling hay, I don't think people understand like the difficulty in baling hay. I baled hay when I was younger, and it's like you will get snot or like brown dust in places you did not know you could actually get brown dust in, and it's going to be there for weeks, like after you're done. And like even if you wear the gloves, you're still gonna get like those ropes just tear into your skin. It's oh, the days.
Yeah. And when you throw a bale of hay that weighs more than you do and you go
Yeah,
with
it's
it
like 60 to
sometimes.
80
Yeah,
pounds. I
like
mean, these things are huge.
because your hands are caught in the strings or the wires and you just kind of, yeah.
And when you're the worst part, so I was the guy up on the top. We're actually, so they'll put it on the belt, right? And it was me and buddy Tyler, and they put it on the belt, and they're just, there's three or four guys on the bottom throwing them on, and so you got to kind of grab them, stack them, and grab them. And if you don't, it's like Tetris, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna get a pile of hay, and you're like, whoa, 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 guys, whoa, whoa. It's like, and nobody wants to slow down. You kind of want to get it done quick because you try to do it relatively early in the morning. You're in the middle of the summer, so you try to get it done in the morning because once you like that 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock hits, it gets pretty warm up in that silo when you're trying to build that hay. And there's not very many windows up there at all. Like, the only windows you get is like cracks in the wood. So it's a pretty rough.
Yeah. And then the things you find in the hay. Oh,
Yeah, yeah, that is funny. But enough about the hay, enough about that. So you went to a bar. So you got the bar. Now, where was that next progression after that?
well, a divorce, a separation. Yeah. Um, so the bar business is, I'm not gonna lie, that was really hard. Late nights, dealing with staff that have different issues, right? All our staff, some staff, different issues, but that late night scene, because it was in a very big party district. And a divorce is what happened. And so going through that separation and custody battle, literally like my ex changed the locks on the house and I couldn't get in. And I always tell the story. I remember the day sitting on the curb. All I had was my cell phone and the clothes I had on. He took my kids and he hid them and changed all the locks on the door. So I couldn't find anyone, anything, nothing. And I called my sister and my mom, and my sister happened to live in Fort Myers. It's kind of how I'm in Fort Myers. And you're that moment when you have to make that phone call and you almost feel ashamed to call because you didn't hold up your end of the deal as a daughter or sister staying connected because your life's so crummy, you're hiding from everyone. So I made that call and lost everything. Literally lost everything because he wanted to fight me for it all. And so I just said, sell the bar, you can keep it all. And I started over. And what is the lowest startup you could possibly imagine starting? It's cleaning and organizing. So I started to clean and organize because I didn't have any money, but I had a lot of knowledge and I didn't start over. So for everyone who's like going through something, I didn't start over. I started from experience. So it accelerated really fast. And I owe all of everything what I have right now to like my cleaning company. And everyone's like, aren't you going to sell that? Because the softwares have outgrown it. Like softwares are doing well. Like I'm like, no, because it's the foundation of everything right now.
I love what you just said right there in regards to the people that start over. You're not starting over. Utilize your experience and leverage it in different areas. I work in the healthcare. I've been in healthcare for, over 2 decades now. There's so many times, unfortunately, especially right now in the healthcare space, there's a lot of individuals, a lot of reorganizations, right? Or reorganizing, restructuring. When I talk to people, I'm like, leverage just because you're a data analyst in healthcare doesn't mean you have to be a data analyst in healthcare always. Data analytics applies to everything. At the end of the day, data is data. Data will give you what you want, but it'll never give you what you need, right? It's always going to be directional. So it's never going to be exact. No matter what or institution, organization, or industry you go into, it's very difficult to get data that's going to be exact, right? But if you're able to create a story around that data, if you're able to understand the data, articulate it out to others in a meaningful way that creates a story, that at the end of the day, that experience will resonate with any industry, any market, any business, any brand, right? Operations is the same thing. Marketing and branding, sales. I mean, you can go across the board, right? So I really love that you said that, Libby, because at the end of the day, leverage the experience that you've received, even through traveling throughout life. That's why I always encourage people to travel as well. Utilize any experience you have. Those life experiences are going to be used in whatever profession you do. It's just the way you kind of understand it and the way you believe in yourself. You also have to have this kind of sense of confidence in yourself and belief that, like, no matter what, this skill set is going to apply to everything, right? And it is not always true, but you have to believe it, because then you're going to kind of force yourself to go out there and learn that niche that you're trying to apply this skill set to. Now, Libby, you mentioned you still have the cleaners, but then
Mhm.
you started leveraging this experience, and you said you don't want to sell it because you have all of these other businesses. What is those next verticals that you've been to? And then I kind of want to hear about these books.
Yeah. So when we launched, I first started doing organizing because when I was trying to find a job, I was overqualified for everything. Like no one wanted to talk to me. And but then I went back to think about like what were the parts that I loved about, doing the consulting about around animal husbandry or the barn. It was all operations, right? It was all the actual operations side, the logistics side. And I was super organized. So my current husband at the time, when I started dating him, he's like, you should be an organizer. I'm like, no one's gonna pay me to organize their house. Like, it's normal. Everyone thinks this way. And he's like, oh no, no, they don't. He's like, people pay other people to
Oh
clean,
yeah.
to mow their yard, to do their taxes, you name it. And I started to look into it. Man, I really, really like it took off. And then we added cleaning a little bit after that because I had that like, I want to make money without working. And I ended up having to clean too. Um, and well, I didn't know anything about it,
Yeah,
cleaning, so I
you
had to
gotta
do it to
learn.
learn it.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I did because I have so much respect for our cleaning technicians. Um, and from there, we grew pretty fast, and I was having issues hiring, and I could not figure out how to keep up with one churn of employees, uh, or the new growth. And so I created a process going back to my operations type of brain and systems. I created a process and I said, I have to leverage some time and I don't have any. So I created a process like a journey I took applicants through. And, um, and that just took off and that helped me grow. And we got our cleaning business to about 2 million. And then, that that is what now is one of my softwares. It's a recruiting software called Woot Recruit. So we recruit for about 25 different industries. We primarily focus on frontline labor, W-2 employees, with that entry level position, because we give the applicants an exceptional experience, an experience like they've never really seen. Um, and that helped me staff and grow it to get to the 2 million. And then from there, we saw another gap in the industry. So all of my softwares come from like owning my own business. I see gaps versus like just I have this great idea and who knows if people will buy it, right? So I always have testing grounds. So that's a benefit because I have my own company to test it on or my industry friends. I'm like, hey, I have this thing. Will you try it? Tell me if you like it. And so we created our second software from like a gap we saw in the industry. And it's a quoting tool, so it gives, more confidence in your ability to quote consistently every time. Because again, as an owner, we gotta like hand off the next thing and hand off the next thing. And sell recruiting was hard to hand off, so I fixed that. And then sales was really hard to hand off. Like, how do I quote with confidence consistently every time? Um, and then the books came along somewhere in that middle part. And for some reason, I had put it on my vision board that I wanted to be a New York Times bestseller. Like, it's there. It's something you want. there's no reason
Oh, yep.
for the fact of just saying I want it. Like,
Yeah, I would
why do we want
agree.
our like a
Yes.
Ferrari? Because we just want it.
It's on mine. Sorry, folks,
Um,
it's on mine.
yeah. And so I was fortunate enough to be in a really advanced mastermind group. A very big fan of coaching and mentoring, like paying for it. Um, and he hooked me up with, so it was Dan Martell. So it was the Buy Back Your Time.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I'm using the entire team that wrote Buy Back Your Time, the same writers, the same publicists, everything. Um, and it was an amazing journey. I'm glad I took that leap to decide to write a book because one, it pulls stuff out of you never knew that was in there. Like, and then, then there's that imposter syndrome that I was like, who wants to read anything I have to say? My
Yes.
husband's like, be quiet. Um, and so it's been a journey. It's a hard year. Like, not gonna lie, like we did like 30 sessions of writing with the writers. Um, and then it's the like, oh my gosh, now it's like a whole nother job to launch it. If you want to launch it, they say right. Well, I'm like, of course I want to launch it right. Um, and yeah, then the kids' book came out of that. If we were already doing stuff, we already had the team, it was kind of like a passion project for everyone to be involved in. Kind of made the whole thing a little bit funner.
Yeah, definitely. You got to bring out some of that joy. You know what I love about it too? Again, folks, all this information will be available on the shadesofevil.com. We'll have Libby's kids book linked to that as well as her upcoming book. One of the things though that I really want to point out that Libby mentioned was really identify like going through life experiences and identifying problems and then like coming up with a solution for it, and not only just a solution but like an automated solution, like one of the things I think is going to be very important too, and I've stated this in previous shows, is people aren't going to lose their job to AI. They're going to lose their jobs to individuals using AI because it makes us more efficient, it makes us quicker, faster, right? Like some of the software, the SaaS products that Libby's mentioned that she's created herself, right? Getting a quote, making it more standardized and easy. Because one of the things that's very difficult as a small business as you start to grow is maintaining that like brand culture of quality, not only quality but customer service. And so that's why Libby was mentioned. It's very difficult to let go of sales. It's very difficult to like it's our babies. Like we're bringing in this baby into the world, and it's made exactly the way we wanted it to because we created it, because we've been nurturing it every day. Now we're expected to let it go and let somebody else take it out into the world and show it, but with their personality, which is like, wait, well, hold on. Wait a minute. This business is our culture or my personality, right? And so that piece is so difficult to let go for some people. And I'm putting myself in the same bucket, very much so. And so, because like with the podcast, I'm starting to slowly let things roll off. But what's interesting, again, like you mentioned, is just again identifying these problems and then creating these solutions around it. You know, one of the things too I heard recently, which I thought was very interesting in regards to AI in education, is there's a lot of kids right now, they use basically AI for all of their educations. They write their essays and everything.
I'm laughing because I have a story for this.
And it's great, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. What makes sense to me is like, since we're at that point where, hey, kids, they can use AI for all of these things, why don't we start to teach them, one, to how to use AI and leverage their capabilities, and then two, teach them things that AI cannot do. Okay, there's a lot of things in the world that AI is not going to be able. They're not going to be able to fix your car. I'm sorry, they're not going to be able to fix your plumbing. They're not going to be able to fix your lights when electricity. There's all of these blue collar jobs out
Or
there.
organize and clean your house.
Or organize and clean your house. Yeah, like they might be able to schedule it. They might be able to schedule your time, right? Maybe they'll follow a truck route, but they're not going to be able to physically go in there and clean your house. And then now to that point, they're not going to be able to give you a physical personal touch, right? Like a customer service isn't going to be able to call you and answer your questions. Now, I would love to hear your AI story. Or you mentioned for the education. Let's
Yeah.
hear it.
So I have three kids, right? I have a 27-year-old and a 17-year-old and a 7-year-old, all very organized, 10 years apart. My 27-year-old does our social media marketing for our house cleaning company, and he just had like his third or fourth post go viral, right, on social media. So he's living it up, loves AI, uses it all the time for um, for work. Then I have my 17-year-old, and all my kids are either home or virtual school. They don't go to public school. Um, and so my 17-year-old is virtual, Lee virtual through the county. So it's still public school, but virtual. And he's like he's got a VPN downloaded on his computer and he's using ChatGPT without getting caught and so he got caught, right? And so you got to go through the formalities of like go to the principal's office because they're in trouble or the virtual principal's office because we have to get on a Zoom call. And I'm like, how am I supposed to be mad at him? I use it all the
Me
time.
too. Sorry. Yeah.
I encourage the kids to use it because they need to learn how to use it. And so he got caught using it. And I'm like sitting there saying, like, I'm supposed to be upset. Like, he can't, if he gets in trouble again, like he's whatever. And I'm just like, okay. Like all I could say is like, okay. And I just told him, when we got done, I said, Austin, like you need to be smarter about if you're going to use it. Because I even give him a paid account because I want him to use the enterprise version. It's a little bit more secure.
Yep. Yep.
It's got better memory. And I said, you just need to be smarter, right? If you're going to use it, be smarter. I don't care if you're using it. If you get into trouble, it's on you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
Uh,
too, like with AI, again, you're going to use it. Teach them right. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
yeah. No. And so just this week, we saw a AI school pop up over here in Miami.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
yeah. And they have a guarantee, something about your child, it can learn 10 times faster than public
Interesting.
school kids. Yeah.
No, that's something I have not heard about, which is quite interesting. And again, you have to train the AI folks. Like it's not like you can go and like the AI is not going to write a symphony for you if you have not gave it some notes and some like tone, some kind of creation. One of the things what I thought is very interesting and what I really love about AI is like when I first started using it, I would like actually write up my blogs and I'd like do all my own research. Like my if you actually go to like my first several blogs on the shadesofview.com, go check it out, folks. It's like super, super, super detailed. And like I would do all the research. And then like as I was doing it and I started putting those old ones into the chat GPT. And so now it kind of understands like how I write. And so now I can basically, have a conversation with Libby. In fact, this conversation will make a blog post. Go ahead and again, folks, check it out in the Shades of V. You can subscribe to the newsletter and make sure you have this information. But we'll create a blog post out of it. But I'm able to ask ChatGPT to create it in my tone, right? So now it truly is kind of coming from me. And then I'll obviously go in there, fact check it, put a bunch of backlinks to, and edit it and whatnot. But at the same time, it does remove a lot of like the sitting in front. Like I would spend hours in front of this computer and just like think like, oh, okay, well, what about like how can I make this into an educational piece? Like truly thinking about our conversations, like how to make an education, which is quite a daunting task. I got to tell you, when you're doing an episode a week, but it was super, super learning experience. And now that like I've gotten to this point where I'm like, okay, now I understand like what content needs to be in there. I know what to be asking the chat GPT to create. And also like what keywords to pull out and how to, really try to make it a little bit more engaging and value added as well. But again, you kind of have to train the system first. You can't just like, okay, it's going to pop out something for you.
Yeah, absolutely. You should see some of my prompts, man, like 500 documents attached to the back end. um, of just trying to, train it and get it to put it for the output to be what we need it. Because once you do the upfront work, it can create a lot of leverage and speed.
Yeah, and I think the next big billion-trillion-dollar business is probably going to be some type of business that uses like some type of AI or as a hub where they essentially like create it to be a trainer and sell it to other businesses. So for example, entrepreneurship. If you go to every state, think about creating like a hub that has for every state you go to, you now have somebody that uses the software system that has all information about LLCs, S corps for every single state, every single county, all the nonprofits, all the grants that are available, like all this information, right? So I really do see it as a continuation of creation. So now, Libby, you've got all these businesses. Where you see yourself, and where are you going in the next 5 years? Where's Libby continue to go?
My coach just asked me the same question. And I'm like, and I told him, and he goes, "No, that's playing it small." I was like, I told him what I had written out for the goal. I just purchased a building, um, and kind of going back to my roots in Oklahoma, I just purchased a building because my vision is to, yeah, AI is great, and I love AI, but I also think there's going to be a little bit of some opportunity in the market to create intimate experiences for entrepreneurs. And I'm not talking about conferences and no, I'm talking about more intimate experience. So I just purchased a building. So in the next 5 years, I'm really looking forward to giving entrepreneurs an exceptional experience when it comes to like intimate learning. Because there's still that little bit of that gap with AI. It can tell you what to do, but and it's not that we need accountability as entrepreneurs, is that we need to be accountable to the result, right? And
Yes.
so
Yep.
it's creating those connections in small settings, and I'm very big too on couples. So my husband works in our company, and he's our CTO, and like, how do you work with your spouse? So we really want to do some of that stuff.
Nice.
It's more of a passion and impact project than it is like, building another software. I told him I'm done. I can't do any more businesses right now. Like we're gonna stop with these for the time being.
Fair enough.
But
Fair
it's a
enough.
really focus on the book and on creating those like those just exceptional experiences for CEOs and founders when it comes to connecting and learning.
Nice. Now, if folks that are interested in listening, they want to learn more about you, maybe they want to connect with you. How can they find out some more information? Where can they find you online?
Yeah, so online, it's my website is libbyD.com. Because a lot of people can't say DeLucien. Or on social media, I am actually the only Libby DeLucien in the world.
Wow, that is an impressive statistic.
Yeah, it is. So I thank my husband because that's his last name. Um, yeah, so I'm the only one. So it's actually really easy to find me if you can spell my last name.
Yes, and folks, and if you cannot, just spell the shades of e.com, and we will make sure we have Libby DeLucien, all of her information on our website. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. Okay. We'll have all this information. I'm going to connect with her on LinkedIn. Yeah, if you guys follow me, you can also follow her on LinkedIn. We'll have all the backlinks. Again, please subscribe to the website, the newsletter. We'll have all of Libby's information there so you guys can connect with her. Again, Libby, really excited to kind of see what's going on. Now, when can we expect this book? When's the
September
September?
23rd.
September
September
23rd. And
23rd.
where can they currently find it?
Yes, so its pre-orders are available at onelayerdeep.com, and it's the number one, layerdeep.com.
Perfect. The number one layer deep.com. Again, folks, we will have this information on the shadesofE.com. So there'll be backlinks. So if you forget all this information, the only thing you remember is the shadesofE.com, that is fine as well. We will make sure this information gets over to you. Libby, thank you again so much for this conversation. I really do appreciate it. I'm actually going to look into your kids' book because I got a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. In fact, I'm not even joking, but I'm watching my 2-year-old right now on this virtual screen running upstairs naked. So yes, it's been a great conversation, and this is how we're going to end the show, folks. Again, check it out on the shadesofE.com. You can also follow us on the social sites: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Instagram. Thank you, and have a great night.